All right. So let's start with just easy arm circles. Hopefully it starts to get warmer. It's the end of April. It would be nice to have spring. And other direction. Bless you. Do some head rolls. So head down, nice and slow rolling. Getting all the kinks out. And other direction. Big shoulder rolls. All the way to the front and all the way to the back. So I threw in some mobility today because a lot of our aches and pains typically come from our ankles could be really stiff from an old injury that you've had, and that can affect your hips and your knees. Sometimes our shoulder pain comes from lack of mobility in the hips. And we're going to go the other direction. Elbow pain and shoulder pain can come from mobility issues in the wrists. So all of that needs to be addressed. Okay. And just some easy twists side to side. Amy's going to be doing this in the background. And some just easy kicks to the butt. Dynamically stretching out the quads, getting them warm before we move to the floor. All right, shake it out. Let me adjust my screen here so you can see me. All right, so we're going to move to the floor. So I'm going to show you the exercise, and then we're going to do each one for 30 seconds. And then what we'll do is we will do this as a circuit. So we'll go through each one, and then we'll do it as a circuit. So the first exercise is a foot stretch to a down dog. So with or without socks, I'm going to actually take off my socks because my feet, we're mismatched socks today. So what you want to do is put your toes on your mat and sit into it. So you'll get a nice stretch in the back of the foot all the way up the fascia, and then your hands will come forward and very gently bringing the calves to the floor. And then we'll come back down. So we're going to do that for 30 seconds. All right, so get ready. So sit back on your heels, toes underneath you. Now come forward, hands on the floor. Come into that down dog. Heels all the way to the floor. So it's not an official down dog, but and then come back. Actually, I'm going to do this one in 30 seconds. This one needs it. Come back, sit on your heels. Forward. Heels forward. And bend those knees. Knees to the floor. Come back to the feet. So you might feel that your big toe may start to lock up, so come back. And that's normal, because a lot of us get arthritis in that joint specifically. Do this 2 more times. 4, back, down dog, heels 4, and knees 4, down heels. And then last time, hands to the floor, heels to the floor. Come back down to the knees. Back on the heels. This is a good one to do every day. Right, and release. Just like let's rock it out just a little bit. Because a lot of us do have tight feet and ankles, which affects, literally from your feet up, affects everything in your body. So if every morning, if you just do this and just sit on your heels and maybe do a little rocking, you can rock side to side, that's going to help really with that ankle mobility. And release. The next exercise is a half kneeling. We're going to do, it's actually 2 exercises in one. So it's a half kneeling abductor stretch, which is your inner thigh, along with ankle mobility. This one you'll be kneeling. So if you have a cushion, you can kneel on the cushion. This one's fine. Other foot is going to come out to the side. So first we're going to do a stretch of the inner thigh. So your toe is pointing to the side, and you're just leaning into it and holding that stretch. You should feel the stretch here, and we'll come back, and again. So we'll do this for 30 seconds, and then we'll bring the foot in closer, and then the knee comes over that ankle, and that's going to get you a nice stretch in the Achilles and also work on that ankle mobility. So we'll start with the wide stance to get that inner thigh. All right, here we go. So chest up nice and tall. Just come in, lean into it, get a nice stretch, and come back to center. This is also called dynamic stretching because we're not holding the stretch for very long, but we'll hold it at the end. You also want to make sure that you're squeezing your glute at the same time. All right, and now we'll just hold, stretch, and release. So now we'll bring the foot in closer to do that ankle mobility. Here we go. Knee over ankle and back to center. Again, squeezing your glute every time you come forward. Squeeze that bum. So we also want to activate the inactive muscles as well. Nice. 2 seconds. And rest. Shake off that leg. We're going to switch to the other side. Just turn this way. So our other leg needs to get that stretch. So nice wide stance, and we'll do that adductor stretch. Right, here we go. Chest up nice and tall. Squeeze the bum as you come forward. That feels good. This also gets in the hip flexor. From sitting all day, our adductors get really tight. So if you ever notice when you're doing squats, if your knees start to buckle in, you're probably really tight in that adductor. Here, 2 seconds and then we'll hold. And then hold the stretch. And release. So now we'll work on that ankle. So bring the foot in a little bit closer. And again, squeeze the bum as you go forward. Here we go. And breathe. We're working on that mobility, but we're also activating inactive muscles as well. So your stabilizers, glute medius. 2 seconds. And release. All right, shake out those legs if you need to. All right, we are going to be bringing it to the floor. To a child's pose. So we're going to work on opening up the shoulders and also the upper back. So you want to sit back in between your heels, and you're going to come forward into your child's pose. And then we're going to turn the palms to the ceiling. And we're going to hold that. So you should feel a nice stretch in your upper back. So you want to really reach your hands forward. The head doesn't necessarily need to reach the floor. I have very tight shoulders, so my head doesn't reach the floor. So if your shoulders are tight as well, you may not find your head is going to reach the floor. All right, so get ready. Let's sink into your child's pose. Palms to the ceiling, extending those arms. And breathing, big inhales and exhales. And every time you take an exhale, try to go deeper into the pose. Really try to concentrate on your palms facing the ceiling. And release. Woo, that's a good one. All right, hip flexor stretch side. We're going to do each side. So again, this is where a cushion might come in handy. So we're going to be in a 90-90 position, which means 90-degree knee over ankle, 90-degree hip over knee. My knee needs more. What you're going to do is squeeze your butt in the back of that bent knee and then lean forward. So you'll get a stretch. You can also have the foot out a little bit more to feel a little deeper of a stretch. So we're stretching. I'll do this side. Can't really see that side. So squeezing the bum and then lean forward. So your chest is nice and tall. You should feel a stretch going all the way down the front of the leg. You can also, again, bring those toes to the floor to get a deeper stretch, or lift the arm and lean slightly to the other side. All right, 30 seconds holding this stretch. Make sure you squeeze the bum first and then come forward. So whatever feels good for you. And breathe. If you have your toes flexed, you're like, that's getting too much, put the toes to the floor. And keep squeezing that glute. That is what's going to activate that hip flexor. And release. All right, so now we'll go switch to the other side. So again, always squeeze the bum first, and then come into your stretch. Here we go, squeeze the glute. Lean into it. Those can be flexed or just flat on the floor. Make sure your chest is tall. Don't come over the leg. Keep a nice tall chest. Don't try not to arch either. We have 10 seconds. Just squeeze that bum. 3, 2, 1, and release. All right. Last. Oh, 2 more. Pigeon. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this exercise. So the first, you'll be in a 90-degree bent position. Now come forward. And the other leg is bent back. And then inhale, big deep inhale. And then on an exhale, you're going to come over that leg and reach. If your hips are really tight, that might be good enough of a stretch. Otherwise, bring the foot diagonally over, knee to the floor, and then extend your back leg. And then you'll get a nice stretch in the outer hip and to get a deeper stretch, you would come down to the floor. So whichever way feels more comfortable for you. Okay. That pose. Extend that back leg, or you're just going to sit over your front leg. And if your hips are really tight, this position might be good enough. If you feel like you need a little bit more of a stretch, you can come down to the elbows. Make sure you're breathing. Make sure your hips are squared and you're not leaning over to more than one side or the other. 3 seconds. And release. We have our other leg too. So get into position. Here we go. Extend that back leg. Or you're sitting over your front leg. Whatever is comfortable for you. And we get 10 seconds. Three, two, one. And release. All right, our last stretch, and then we'll move this into a circuit, is for wrist mobility. So your fingertips are going to face you, and you're going to have them on the floor. So you might, if you have really tight wrists, like coming over your wrist like that might be good enough for you. If I try sitting back, you're going to get a nice stretch all the way up the forearm from sitting at our tablets or our computers, or even holding weights. We always are flexed, so we want to make sure that we open that up. So get ready. I'll start the timer. Here we go. The fingertips face you. Sitting back if that's comfortable for you, or you might be here with shoulders over wrists and feel like that's a good enough stretch for you. Fingertips are on the floor. Try to get your fingers as flat as possible. 5 seconds. 2 and 1. Good. Shake it out. That's a good one. My forearms are forever tight. All right. So now that we know the moves, we're going to do this in a circuit, and we're going to go for 45 seconds. So that now that we're nice and warm, we can get even deeper into the stretches. And we'll have 20 seconds to transition in between. So we are going to start, and I'll show you in between. So while you're resting, I'll show you the exercise again, just so you know. So we're going to do that foot stretch to down dog. So toes are on the floor. You're going to sit back on the heels, bring your hands to the floor, and come up into that down dog heels to the floor. So you'll go at your own pace. You don't have to follow my pace. If I'm going too fast for you, just go slower. All right. Here we go. Over those heels. Hands to the floor. Down dog, heels to the floor. And back to the knees. Back to the toes. Nice flowing motion. Holding each stretch for about 3 seconds. 3 or 4 seconds. You should feel a little bit looser by now. You have 7 seconds. And rest. Okay. The next one. Is that side stretch to ankle mobility. So we'll Do the wide one first, and then we'll come in. Narrow one. Here we go. Try to keep up. So make sure you're squeezing your glute and keeping your toes pointed out to the side. So you should feel this in both adductors, really. And hold it a little bit longer than what I'm doing, if that's better for you. Nice job. And breathe. We have 10 seconds. 2, 1, and release. So now we'll bring the foot in a little bit closer for the ankle mobility. Push it. Get ready. And 3, 2, 1. You can move your ankle and back. So again, squeeze the bottom every time that knee comes forward. Doing a nice stretch in the Achilles and in the front of the ankle for mobility. Try to keep your heel on the floor. You might also feel your quads working here too. For 15 seconds, take a break if you need to. 7 seconds. And rest. Switch to the other side. I don't remember what side I held. Switching sides, and I'm like, what side did I start with? All right, nice and wide stance, getting that adductor is nice and stretched out. Nice job, ladies. We have 15 seconds. 7 seconds. Good, bring that foot in. We're going to do the ankle mobility. Foot comes in a little bit more. Ready. And here we go. And breathe. Next, we have that child's pose with palms up. Ankles are so important, and feet and foot mobility. So overall, releasing a lot of the aches and pains. A lot of aches and pains we have is because our muscles are trying to overcompensate for tight joints. And release. So now we're going to get into that child's pose with the palms up. Sitting back on the heels, palms are to the ceiling. We're going in 3. Here we go. Take deep breaths here. Try to really get those palms facing the sky. Nice stretching that upper back and the shoulders. And we have about 15 seconds left. And release. Now we're going to work on the hips. So either from a seated position, leaning over that hip, or going in pigeon, whatever feels better for you. Here we go. We're in pigeon, really work on extending that back leg. Breathe into it. Every exhale, try to get even deeper into that stretch. Might feel looser this time around. Seconds. Always release it. If you feel like you're getting cramped up, just release the pose. 2, 1, and we'll switch legs. Always my favorite one. And extend that one leg. You can always get into the stretch early if you wanted. Alright, here we go. Let's hold that stretch. Deep inhales and exhale. Working up, opening up that outer hip. And if you feel like you're going to cramp up, you can always come out of the pose and then go back into it. We have 13 seconds. Now, last one is that wrist mobility. And release. Right. Shake it. All right, so our last one is the wrist mobility. So your fingertips are going to face you, and you're either going to hold here or lean back. Whatever feels good for you. 45 minutes may be, seconds may be a long time to hold this stretch. So whenever you need to, just release, shake it out, and get back into it. The more you do this and the more your joints get more mobility, the easier it will be every time. Make sure you're breathing. Three, 2, and 1. Shake it out. Wrist around. Shake up those arms. Blood flow again. Shake up the legs. The last but not least, we're not going to do another circuit, but what I do want to do is a neck stretch. So you can sit comfortably for this, or you can stand, whatever is best for you. But what we're going to do is you're going to bring one arm behind, and you're going to hold that wrist. And then we're going to bring ear to elbow, and we'll look down. Bring one hand behind, grab that arm, and really bring it over so you open up that shoulder. And bring ear to shoulder. And then look down. And then look up. And again, looking down. Down. And shoulder. And then switch sides. Bring the other side of our arm behind the back. Ear to shoulder. Down. Back to center. Good, shake it all out. We are done. Yay! Unmute.